Last Tuesday, we're just going to do a reaction of that backward sweep. Obviously, Carl will want to lean forward to try to stop the sweep, so we are going to sweep him over our head. It's called the rocket launch sweep. Carl says he's been looking forward to this all night. Let's see if we can put him in the gallery. Okay, so from our position, we're here. Spider hooks in. I'm going to make that collar grip. We put the foot on the mat. The goal now was to get Carl's hand on the mat. If it stayed on the mat, we control the leg. We switched to X guard. And then from that position, I pushed. And then I come up and I took him down in the X guard sweep, which we've covered. Okay? Building on that, sometimes you can struggle to keep their hand on the mat and they will posture again. So we're here, I made that grip, I put the foot on the mat. We talked about how I want to be putting tension in this limb. If Carl manages to posture, we just do it again. And then we keep doing it. But if he keeps backing away, we need another pathway. So from there, if he is postured and his hands off the mat, that outside leg comes in. So we have made a near side X guard hook. Okay? Then the hook comes in, and now I let go of the sleeve and find the pants. And from there, I'm putting Carl down to the hip, which we covered last time. Then I move my hip back, and now I'm coming up to get into passing positions. But as you know, when you go for backward sweeps, they'll lean forward to try and counter the sweep, which means we're taking him in that direction. But we're not going to put him right over our head and we continue the movement. We are going to roll over our shoulder and end up in a guard passing position. So from here, I have the spider hook in. I've made that grip. I put my foot on the mat. I create a weight shift. I get him off balance. Carl moves back. I find the leg, and then I put in my near side X guard hook. I make the hook, pull Carl forward, and I make the pants grip. But if I feel that he's sort of leaning forward and I can't get the backwards off balance sweep, first thing I'm thinking about is moving my hips more under Carl. Just that little connection there. See the way now he's having to nearly post? And also, it's the X guard hook that's really going to get the sweep, but I can help it by bringing my second foot in till his belly or his belt line, if that makes sense. And now from there, I'm going to start to work the sweep, and I'm going to roll Carl over his left shoulder. That's what I want here. I keep the grips. I'm coming up for the pass. And again, it just depends on what pass presents itself. Sometimes from there, I'll move into hip lever, and then I can start to work into knee slice variations. Just whatever presents itself. Let's take a look at that again, bro. You're on this side. So I have the spider hook. I've made that collar grip. I try to get Carl's hand on the mat. Maybe he's resisting. So now from there, outside hook comes in, and I just make that near side X guard hook, controlling the leg. Get my hook in. Now I'm in full X guard, and then I'll pull him forward and make that grip. I want to sweep him backwards, but if I feel he's leaning forward, I'm going to butt scoop forward a little bit. Carl's really leaning, so I don't need to do that. Just sort of lean, yeah. So from there, I'll move my hips underneath him a little bit. Once I'm there, I just bring that second foot in, nearly 2 feet into the belt. Okay. I know when we do overhead sweeps, we would continue the movement in the mount, but in this variation, as I load Carl onto me, I'm going to be rolling him over my his left shoulder. And to make that transition smooth, I'm looking behind me so that there is a profile for me to roll over my shoulder. Does that make sense? So Carl's I'm going to sweep him over his right shoulder. I look behind me, so I'll be rolling over my left shoulder to put him down. And then I keep the grips. Then I'm coming up. Just depends on what presents itself. I can stuff the leg, start moving into knee slice positions. Control the head, 100 kilos. If you've noticed, I'm not controlling his hands. So a response Carl might do is, instead of going with the sweep, he'll post with his hands. Let's take a look at that. We can still sweep him, but we're going to use an arm movement to initiate the same response. So, say we are here. I've got the spider hook. I've got the collar grip. I put my foot on the mat. I make Charles take that step. But he comes back up again. I find the leg. I put in my X-guard hook. Make the hook. Pull him forward, and I make that grip. Okay? So again, it really depends on, maybe I go for the backward sweep. Charles sort of leaning forward into it now. So again, once I'm in that position, if I feel that I go for the overhead and I bring my foot into the belt and we end up here, and Charles puts his hands on the mat, I'm going to use an arm movement. Okay, I'm going to push up with my left hand and redirect with my right. How am I going to do that? I'm going to bring my knees back towards my chest, and then I load Carl up in the air, and it's just this movement here to put him down. And then we're back up for the pass. So just raising one knee, lowering the other one. Once I get the weight in the hands, it's just the turning of the legs. It's going to get that. Let's just take a look at that again. So you have two variations on that. This is more going to be the likely income. Good players aren't going to go for the sweep. They're going to post with their hands and try to keep their base. Just on this side, bro. So from the spider guard hook, I make my grip, plant my foot, make him take the step. He backs off. First thing is I'm making that footlock grip. Move into X guard, make the hook, pull him forward, looking for the backward sweep. Maybe when I bring my foot in and I start to initiate the sweep, when I go for it, Charles puts his hands on the mat and we end up here. Okay? So now it's going to be using arm movement. Notice the way Charles' knees are in line. His right knee and left knee in our profile. But when I get the weight in his hands, I can lift one knee and bring down the other one. And now I'm just coming up. And now we're just straight into passing opportunities, whatever presents itself. Let's play.